What's going on there, Pickers and Groaners? Got some spicy sauce for you today. We're looking exactly at how to create this beautiful sounding tone without needing to be a pro guitarist with 10,000 gigs and live experience and all this practice. Just being able to get a good sound with a regular daytime job. You know, that's what we want. We want to play something that sounds tasty, something that sounds good, without thinking too much, and also certainly while still having a normal life to live. And this is a kind of lesson that I wish I would have learned earlier on. It took me years to figure this out, and it's probably going to save you a ton of time. Tone. What is tone? Tone is unique to the guitar player. Every guitar player sounds a little bit different. But when it comes to getting that fat, rich, juicy tone, how do you get a guitar to sound like that? Well, some of it is the guitar, yes. This is a Gibson Les Paul. It sounds beautiful. Amp, somewhat. But in the fingers, what creates that tone? Well, a couple of things. You got to be confident in what you're playing. So can you fret a note? And most guitar players are going to say, yeah, heck yeah, I can fret a note. Do you ever think about, though, how you're fretting the note? How clean that is ringing out? See, this is part that I think gets missed. And it happens for pickers who go 5 or 6 or 10 years. They don't even pay attention to this piece. When you play a note on a cleaner setting, does the note articulate? Can you hear how full the note is? Is it rich? See, that's almost like playing an open string. You wouldn't know. It sounds the same type of cleanness as an open string. And that's when I fret the note right in the middle. Now, one of the things you can do to immediately improve your tone is work on fretting notes in the middle. And I know it sounds so basic, but you might be surprised at how you're hitting notes. You might be a little bit over here. That could incur some additional buzz that's unwanted. You're playing up by the fret, either fret wire. So we look at precision of notes. You want to play right in the middle to get everything to ring out nice and clean and avoid unnecessary buzz. That's going to make your tone sound great as we raise up that volume. Now, looking at another way that you can improve your playing, sound pro without having to be pro, is practicing your bends. This is also incredibly basic. Bending, it's so simple. And it's one of the first things you learn when you get into lead guitar. But do you ever think about working on the strength of your bends? One of the things that can improve your tone is getting some more finger strength. So when you practice bends, and one of the common mistakes I'll see among guitarists who are struggling to get a good sound is they don't dedicate enough time to holding out the bends. And it kind of sounds like a dying cow. They kind of let their fingers die as they're picking it. It sounds like a ghost bend a little bit. And the hand fights. It fights you and it feels tense. So I suggest that you work on bends by doing a nice full to pitch bend. So if we're going to do a bend to this note, and we're in the key of A, well, let's bend right up to that note and hold it. And do it nice and slow. So I picked right on the middle of that B string. I'm not even on much of a gain setting right now. It's probably about halfway volume on my guitar. And I'm holding that bend up there. And you're feeling the bend. You're not just playing a bend like on tab, you know, where the bend, it just says, whoosh, like, kill it early. Give it some time to manifest. You look at like Billy Gibbons and Gary Rossington. Gary Rossington has got a cigarette in his right hand as he's playing guitar and he's just letting it go. You should be able to hold that bend and let it ring out. So this tells you, one, that you bent to pitch, you've got adequate finger strength to play a good bend, and you played a nice clean note. Instead of it buzzing out or fretting out. That comes from one, fretting it in the middle, or finger in the middle of the fret, and then pushing up, utilizing these three fingers if you need to get a nice full clean bend. You do this enough, you're going to have a great sounding tone without needing to play fast. Your leads, B.B. King for example, slow player. Oh, he can just sit there. And it sounds great. And you think, man, that guy's a good guitar player. But he's really not playing a whole lot of notes. But he's let those notes have weight. Your notes got to carry some weight. And stick with me here because we're going to get into some more deep stuff as we go. You've got to learn how to build a clean tone first. And without having to spend thousands of hours practicing, this is how you'd go about it. So we've got fretting in the middle of the and then getting a nice full bend. Next, we look at doing bends with just one finger. So we'll be getting into some pentatonic highway type stuff here, but just to give you an idea, the first shape, this will really boost your finger strength and your tone. In that first shape of pentatonic scale, you can bend these notes. Those are three of the most common places to bend. And you should learn how to be able to use one finger to bend those notes. And when you use one finger, it's going to apply a little bit more pressure to the string. It took me years to figure this out. The more pressure you're applying to that fret, the fatter the sound. I call it extracting wood from the guitar, because you know how if you play a note, it's almost like you can hear the wood, you can hear the feeling coming out of the guitar. That comes from having enough pressure, fretting or fingering in the middle of the string on the fret, there, middle of the fret, and having enough strength as you bend to get it to sound nice and clean. Doesn't that just sound great? And then just taking one finger now, learn how to use, let's say, just your third finger. So play a note. Or your second finger. Now that third finger, I often like to use all three fingers to bend up. But if I do a walk down, it's not uncommon for me to use my first or second finger to do a bend. See that right there? That first finger and the second finger can be valuable assets for giving you a better sound just because they can place a lot of pressure. Now looking at how you would apply this on a pentatonic scale. We've got a few different bending positions on the pentatonic highway. And that involves three positions here, the pentatonic scale. You got this little sliding section. So just to break it down really simple, that's that first area we'll look at into the second. There, and then the next one. So these three areas are connected by a little highway. And on that little highway, you got tons of bending opportunities. So check this out. It's a great blues bend. So I'm bending that E string into the B string. A little vibrato. They can do the same thing on the next superhighway. And the next one. And you can see the highway connects. A nice clean note, not playing really fast, utilizing these bends. You know, some of the best guitar players of all time didn't play a whole lot of fast. They just played soulful. You know, look at David Gilmour in Pink Floyd, right? Just doing that. Oh, I'm kind of doing a little Billy Gibbons there. Billy Gibbons is another example, but he's got that part in the solo. I'm not an expert at David, but just give you an idea of the cadence of the notes. It's slow, but it's feel, because he's picking the notes. And he's playing the middle of the frets. And he's giving adequate pressure to the string. Yeah, Gary Rossington from Skinner. I'm not even at 10 volume on my guitar, and it's so fat of a sound. It's a beautiful thing. You know, look at that song, Saturday Night Special. So slow. Or even Tuesday's Gone. It's not very fast, but boy, it does sure sound good. Or like Saturday Night Special. That's not a whole lot. Isn't that awesome? And getting that sound is all coming back to the basics. You know, how do you get that sound? Fretting the note well, being able to have enough finger strength, which I think is one of the most lacking things among guitar players. They play a lot. I see everybody like doing hammer-ons and pull-offs on YouTube. But I don't see a whole lot of this slow, soulful bending. You know, it's not a crime to play slow. In fact, somebody could be so jealous of how you're playing. There was a guy at Guitar Center. I'm just sitting there doing this with a Les Paul, just joking around going. I was doing some stuff like that, and he's saying, wow, that sounds great. How do you get that sound? It's right here. Okay. This is the part of the episode where you say, Tom, you got a Les Paul, I don't have a Les Paul. That's because you got a Les Paul, it sounds that good. Sorry, Les Paul, we're going to have to just put down for a second. We're going to take out some other guitars, show you the value of training your hands. So, I love this guitar. I will never part with that guitar. Let's take out a guitar that is significantly less expensive. This would have been probably a $600 guitar in 2007 or 2008. Okay? And Not giving it a whole lot of speed, just giving it a whole lot of soul. All right, let's see another one, another guitar. I do like you too, Epiphone. You sound beautiful. Nothing has changed. I play the same way with every guitar, and I can get a very similar sound with any guitar, assuming that it doesn't have like a busted tone knob. Okay, here's my PV EXP. I love the sound of this one too. Same type of progression, so. Now, we're going to go right back to Les Paul because I think it sounds the best out of all these three. But you can tell, the tone is still there. It's thick, rich, and juicy. So don't let anybody fool you into saying you got to buy equipment to sound good at guitar. You got to invest in your hands. I'm not playing a whole lot of fast. I'm not really a fast player by, in professional standards. I'm kind of on the slow end, I think, because I would show up and play these gigs, and these Nashville pickers would come in and go, and I'd be there like, okay, how are we going to get through this one? I know what I'll do. I'll just stick to my guns and play what I play. And it ended up paying off because people started saying, well, your tone's great, man. And I was like, dang, you guys play so much faster, man. So let's get into another meat and potatoes part of bending and this whole thing. You might have watched my picking hand when I do this. I want to show you some things about another really cool trick I've learned over the years to get a fat sound. When I bend, notice how I'm picking down. I'm not upstroking those. And I usually do this when I want to play a fat, soulful bend. I think about Clapton a lot. So my bend technique and my picking technique, hitting down at an angle like this, when I play fast, though, I stop doing that. So I'll play my bends. Notice when I switched right into playing fast, I didn't do that angle technique. Oh, that sounds great. And sometimes I'll even hit into the strings with my palm to give a little subtle muting effect. So that's another bend technique that I like to do when I want to play especially fat. Like if you said, Tom, I want you to play a solo that's really fat and juicy. I use a lot of that technique to fatten up my sound. But then you want me to play fast and somewhat juicy. It's an adaptable thing. It's interchangeable. I mean, you can play. So you've got a lot of options when it comes to playing these bends and fattening up your sound. It all comes down to practicing with the basics and keep doing the basics well. And then your tone will improve because you're getting the note to ring out. And then knowing how to use a superhighway. And then you've got yourself a great foundation for good tone. Good tone will be born out of that. I know because it took me years to learn that, and here we are. And I just want to pass it along to y'all because I think if I can help you in any way shortcut getting to a good tone, you know, they say there's no shortcuts. And there's ways to learn guitar to really make you improve faster, just like I showed you in last week's video on playing faster. Like, it took me 16 years to learn that picking technique. And then it dramatically improved my playing speed in 2 weeks. So while, yeah, in some ways you can't shortcut guitar, but there's other ways in which you can make it a lot easier to learn. And I think if you do this stuff, whether you're beginner, intermediate, advanced, it's a great technique for making you sound pro without having to do a whole lot of practice. I mean, I took a lot of time off because I was dealing with a lot of work with my business and stuff going on, so I didn't have a lot of playing time, but one thing I always came back to was playing these notes well. Making sure it's clean for one, and then making sure it's strong enough hand finger strength. And those two things combined will make you sound great no matter what guitar you're playing, Les Paul or a $70 guitar off eBay, you can do it. So hope you all enjoyed this episode and have an awesome week.